Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
This is the Blind Apex Podcast, and I'm your host, John Turk. The topic for this episode is pretty much a selfish one for myself. And joining me to discuss that topic is the current Honda Challenge H2 National Champion, Jonathan Baker. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem, man. You've been to a lot of national championships, so I thought you'd be a good person to bring on to the show to get everybody ready for this big East Coast shootout we're about to have.
Yeah. I've been to probably, let's see, at this point, I've been to 8 of them. So more than most. And my success rate is probably not as good as a lot of the other guys. But, I feel like I took a lot of the experience into this last one to try to make the most of it. And luckily things ended up going our way and finally got one.
I mean, you took 7 experiences all the way across the country to pick up your national championship. And I feel that all that experience had to carry you that far. You know, that's a long trip. That's a lot of time to think. It's tiring. It's not a track that you get to go practice on, So to win it there is still a feat. So,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Before we hit record, we were talking a little bit about how many regionals you've won. You won at least a couple since I've been racing, I think. And but when did you start racing? And when did you start racing Honda Challenge?
So I raced Honda Challenge in 2009. That was my rookie season. And then switched to World Challenge for 1 year and right back to Honda Challenge. So that World Challenge year was only in 2013. And I still take a lot of that experience as well with me. That was a pretty wild year, but obviously nothing compares to doing the real thing that you're aiming for, which is, racing in NASA and trying to get a national championship in H2. You're right. Yeah. Having done it 7 times prior teaches you all the lessons. And, I've shared those with other people over the years, happy to broadcast them here and try to help out the right kind of people.
Well, you did go to national championships without the weather tires. Let's put it that way. I hate saying the R word. So,
yeah.
Was that a strategic call on your part? Sunny California, will never need them kind of thing. You didn't need them, but it looked like it.
We should have needed them, and I did have a set reserved. So I looked at the weather forecast. I had them all ready to be packed. They were literally at the tip of the garage. And I looked at I'm in the aviation industry for my career. I have pretty good resources. I looked at 4 different sources. Every single one of them said 0% chance for that entire weekend. Some of them alluded to rain the following week. Some of them said I might have some rain on the way out. Wasn't really worried about them, just worried about kind of that like Saturday to Monday range. And all of them said 0% chance. And then basically like the second day on the road out there is when stuff started to shift. I talked to Marcel as well. I talked to the Texans, asked them if they were bringing them. I thought I did my research. In retrospect, obviously I made a mistake. I outfitted all my wheels with dry tires. I, had a spare engine in there. I had an engine I was selling. I was kind of jam packed already. So to be able to take 4 wheels and tires out that, literally showed a 0% chance of being needed, seemed like a wise move. But, in the end, we had to scramble on Friday and Saturday, and we lined something up with a Spec Miata guy, luckily, that was there, that had wheels that cleared my brakes, and it would have been okay. It was a little bit more hectic in an already hectic week. So yeah, not going to make that mistake again.
Yeah, well, I still don't have the extra set of wheels, and nor have I purchased the tires, so I better do that just so I can make sure that it doesn't do that this year. But you alluded to it. You alluded to the week. Now, I know you were traveling. Does that week include the travel out to Laguna and back?
So I left on Saturday prior. And then I arrived on Tuesday afternoon. Practice Wednesday, Thursday, time sessions Friday, Saturday, championship on Sunday. And then I hit the road, had all the drama on Monday morning, which was fun, about did I actually win or not. And then I think I arrived home after 2 all-nighters, I think on like Wednesday night, something stupid like that. It was rough, but I was just really excited to get home and see everybody. So that was the overall logistics.
Yeah, you had plenty of people yelling Monday morning before you even knew what happened. So the correction was in the works before you even woke up, probably. So
yeah, you're right.
All right. So you were talking about practice on Wednesday, Thursday, correct? Is that traditional for a NASA Nationals?
Right. So yeah, I guess we can talk through the format. So I found, there was one point at which I thought that I was going to, thinking back, this would have been tough, but like drive all the way out there for purely a practice event. And then come home and, have all this data to sift through and maybe change gearing, things like that. Maybe go with a couple wings, couple splitters, and really like bring some things home for some changes to the car. But I ended up doing more of that prep over over simulation and just looking at things online. But I guess back to the schedule. So I did not get out there. So in the end, I found a practice event that was there on Wednesday and signed up for that. And then the NASA practice day was on Thursday. And then Friday was like the official practice and qualifying sessions. And then Saturday was the qualifying race. And then Sunday was the actual national championship. And they honestly don't give you as much practice time. I remember I used to tell people like, hey, you can go there and not even do the practice day, and just the amount of track time that you have, you're going to figure out the track by the championship race. I would say that is no longer true with the format that they've gone with. It's just there's shorter qualifying sessions. They used to give you guaranteed practice time. Now it's more of like a hardship kind of mentality. Like if you do go out there, you're going to be out there with everybody, and it's very short. It's basically just to check a mechanical issue.
Right.
So yeah, you do have to do a little bit more homework in advance, or do what I did and find somebody that's doing a track event the day prior, or go out there ahead of time, something like that, to really get the right data and the track knowledge.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the few people going to nationals this year that hasn't actually driven pit race. That's not true. I drove pit race before the current configuration in like 04, 05, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
But and that was in a completely different car. I was much younger, much greener, wasn't taking things seriously. So I couldn't even tell you what it is. I've watched a ton of video already, but yeah. So you say
from my experience, it's like it's a cool track, But I mean, us racing at VIR, learning Laguna Seca, I'd say those are probably on the tougher end of learning. I went there one time and I was, running pretty close to what Jackie and Rob had run in the past on the practice day. So I feel like the learning curve is not super difficult for pit race compared to some of the other tracks, which is a bit disappointing, because I would love people to have an uphill battle and me have a bit of an advantage, but I truly feel like you can learn the track probably in less than a day. Unfortunately, it's cool, and there's some elevation change. There's one turn that's kind of blind and quick, but once you realize that taking it flat, you're not going to die, kind of the cat's out of the bag, and everything else is pretty standard turns from what I remember. So yeah, just off the cuff, my first thoughts on pit race.
Yeah. I've heard people comment that, it's not a great track for passing or racing. Like, it's an exciting track to drive, but to race on it might be a little bit of a struggle. Now, we say that, but we're not out there dicing it with, 20, 30 other cars. I mean, I've heard some people talk, we could have 40 cars there. You're going to have to not pay attention to the track so much and really race. Sure, they may not have the optimal area to pass you, but I don't know any of us that aren't going to stick a nose somewhere if you give us room, So
yeah,
it should still be interesting, at least, and fun. I mean, to get everybody together and race should be a good time.
Absolutely. Yep.
So yeah, I'm planning on trying to find some day to go out there and learn it a little bit, collect data. I'm still fresh in my car. I don't know how many seasons you have in your car, but I'm pretty sure you're dialed in. I know you have a notebook. You can tell this is the weather, this is the track, this is the kind of tire pressures I want to run. Or if your car's not doing what you want it to do, you can make a shock adjustment. I can't do that yet. So I have a long way to go for that in this new car, especially, but
that's the fun part, is learning how to do all this and gaining the knowledge. I mean,
I'm trying to learn, but I also want to be competitive.
True.
I sort of got a competitive streak right before my old car died. I was out there having fun, and then when I got to race, Hunter and I were racing together in the back, and then when we started to catch other people, and it was more than just two of us racing, there's like 3 or 4, 5 of us racing together. I don't want to say I took it more seriously, but I feel like the competitive bug got triggered, So
yeah.
And I don't want to use my car's new. That's my excuse. My excuse is I'm slow. I don't care what you say on Jaime's podcast. I'm slow. Yes, I pick up time, but I'm a data nerd by day, so I do look at my data, unlike some people that we race with. So
right, yeah,
I will find it. I may not find it quickly, and I didn't find it quickly initially because I was still using an AIM, and I didn't download after every session because of my trailer setup and all that jazz. But I did go home and I did look at my data and I did go find time. So I still want to do that, and I got to do it before nationals. But you said you were running close to Jackie's time. She's been quoted as saying, we better break it, essentially. She expects multiple people to be ahead of her track record.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I went there with the wrong engine, in my opinion. Rob had the right engine. He was slightly faster than me, as I would have expected. The S2000 was really quick. So, yeah, I would agree. I think a lot of us since then aren't running the B16 anymore, and even those that have the B16 now has some more power. So, yeah, I would be surprised if, a handful of us were not faster than, I mean, what is that? 4 years ago at this point? It's something pretty stupid. I mean, records are meant to be broken, especially with the rule changes and advances in parts and cars and drivers and data. So yeah, I fully agree with that.
Yeah. I still don't think the B16 is the engine to take there. I know this is a little sidetracky for people, but from the video I've seen, the elevation changes that you see, I just don't think it has the torque to handle that track.
Yeah, B16B certainly doesn't have the torque. The A is okay. I mean, I think the extra 5 horsepower will help. The manifold definitely helps the B16A a lot compared to its horsepower cap, but it is still relatively low.
Yeah, are you planning on putting a B16A back in your car? Hot take. I mean, would you consider that?
I would consider it.
Okay.
I am happy to have the data on a B16A, and if I take the current engine there, the Type R, and I see some areas where the A was stronger, that might be something I consider, is putting it back in. I mean, it's there. It's the backup for a reason. It obviously needs to get retuned for the extra 4 or 5 horsepower, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's out. Yeah.
Well, fortunately for you, you get an engine choice. So
yes, well, you knew that when you bought the car.
Yeah, I also knew I could go to Honda and buy parts for my car. So
Right.
that was a huge,
I cannot.
A huge decision point was, can I buy these parts from Honda still? So the restricted prep life.
Yeah.
I watched the video. I watched Chris's video from Coda. There was one that was fast. I don't believe, and hot take and maybe a little spicy for people, I do not believe it was legal at the current rules, but either that or they engineered something.
So what it was?
He had way too much camber up front for only getting one camber device, unless he had some crazy setup underneath the strut tower. He would have to build a standoff underneath to then take it, and then shorter strut, some other crazy stuff. Yeah. Stuff I looked at doing, but it was just easier to ask for a rules request, and I got it. So I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I know you don't care. You only look at
I care.
You look at your section of the rules, that's fine. Yeah. But I think it's the first restricted rules prep request change that's been done since they wrote them. So I'll take what I can get when I get it.
Yeah.
But that'll be for my conversation with Marcel, which I'm trying to get scheduled now. So that ought to be fun. So, so you're saying at nationals we have how many sessions are there on practice day? Just one?
So the you're saying like the
NASA regimented practice day. Because for whatever reason, I thought there was multiple NASA practice days, not just one practice day, 2 qualifier days, and then a championship. Is that did I write that down correctly? 1 practice day for NASA, 2 qualifiers, and then the championship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. The easiest way is each day it picks up the tempo. So yeah, the NASA day, and that's the other thing, the NASA practice day, it's not cheap. And I remember Chris talking about, it was like really ridiculous at Coda, how much they wanted for it. So, I mean, a lot of people skip it. I remember at Watkins Glen, it was expensive and there were only a handful of us that did it. So That's something else to keep in mind. We all have a budget. And then, it goes to the so on that regimented practice day, I can't remember exactly, but I'm going to say it's, it's not a ton of time. It's maybe like four sessions that you're out there.
Was it?
It's not as much
like
as
20-minute sessions,
like a NASA Mid-Atlantic. Yeah.
Oh, that's not enough.
Right.
Not for me.
Yeah. I mean, you're again, like you're not going to go there and, just be able to learn everything in a day if you've done zero prep work ahead of time. It's not like a NASA practice day where, if I remember correctly, like if you include the fun race or whatever, you end up with like 6 or 7 sessions available to you. It's not like that. They have a lot of cars they're bumping through, and then the TT guys, obviously, you got to give them their 6 feet of spacing, and they can only have 2 cars on the track at a time. So they end up with a lot of the time on that day, which sucks for us racers because, we get 40, 50 cars on the track of people that have never been there before and are trying to learn the track. So it is difficult.
When can we get TT to have their own championship some other days?
I don't think they should have a championship. No one cares.
Okay, so you're going to be on in the future when I discuss the whole autocross time trial wheel-to-wheel racing, because my theory is autocross is like a great gateway, but you should skip that and go straight into however you can get to wheel-to-wheel. Skip time trials. Time trials like super autocross. And as it relates to racing, it's basically qualifying. So,
right. Yeah. Time trials at a regional event, slightly annoying, but that should be the pinnacle is, hey, you get to come race with real wheel to wheel racing people at big events like Hyperfest, and people pretend to care. That should be their pinnacle, in my opinion. There should be no drive all the way out to the national championship and put 4 cars on the track at a time while the wheel to wheel racers are, like the thing that happened at Mid Ohio was just absolutely ludicrous. So, and again, like those time trial groups had seriously like a dozen cars on the track, and then half of them don't go out. So it was just, it's pretty frustrating in my scenario. There was a lot of potential for damage at that event for the wheel to wheel racers, and just, the time trials guys were given a lot of track time.
Okay. They got their own track time though, or were they out there with you?
Time trials?
Yeah. They couldn't be out in race.
No, they are not with us.
Okay. Thank God. That would be a disaster.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm saying at Mid Ohio, they got their own sessions, and they got like half the sessions on the championship day. So then all the other racing groups had to squeeze into,
in between their sessions. Groups. Okay. All right. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just, really crammed the race groups.
Yeah. That's not optimal for the race groups. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand why they would do that. You need to force those TT groups into like 2 groups, top 50%, bottom 50% go, maybe 3, but to make your racers condense and then work around the time trials at a national championship doesn't seem right. But
nope.
It's politics, and maybe they want to grow TT and not every other race class out there, but not my decision, I guess. So
yeah,
you've alluded to changing engines and doing all these other things over the last, at least last year, to get to nationals. And what kind of recommendations would you have for somebody who's like, all right, I'm going to nationals? Before recording, you also alluded to, maybe you pick the regional as your priority or nationals as your priority, and you tailor essentially your race program, what I talked with Chris about, on going to one or the other. But how do you treat your car before you head to nationals?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree, and that's probably a mistake maybe that I've made in the past, or just a lack of commitment. When I, like in 2019 specifically, I really wanted to win the I really wanted to win the regional championship. There were a lot of fast guys in our region, and that kind of drives you a certain way. The same engine that you want at Summit and VIR was not exactly what was best at Mid-Ohio. And, there's a lot of events for the Mid-Atlantic about every month. So to like work in an engine swap and a massive change in minimum weight,
schedule a dyno,
you begin to question like, oh, right. Well, yeah. And I mean, it kind of makes you question like, oh, is it really like, is it worth it? Or, what if it rains in Mid-Ohio like it's supposed to, and I'm going to have the right setup, that sounds a lot easier. So I'll just kind of keep what I've got. Whereas like, this year it was 1,000,000%. All the focus was on what is the best engine for Laguna Seca. And I mean, I'm sure that there's a way to blend it. I'm not saying that you can't do both, but I would say that it's just going to be more focus and more on your plate if you're going to try to do well in both aspects.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've got other things here to, think about.
Super resource
exactly.
intense.
Yeah. I mean,
to keep up with every single race every month. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I personally will likely do maybe the 3 weekends. I'll probably do March, April Hyperfest, and then really shake my car down, sort of like I do in the off season, just to double check everything. Spoiler alert, I'm rebuilding my front hubs for anybody who wants to try to protest it. My bearings are not that great. It's a big deal. But people they look at my Instagram posts and they're like, oh, what are you cheating with now? But I just shake the car down some more. And I think I still want to do it. I may want to do an early test day at Pitt and then a later, like one closer to the champs, just so I can get times where the weather may be similar, temperature wise. My car's really hard on tires, so I'm burning down a set of tires every 2 events. So I don't know if one fresh set will do me at nationals quite. If I do a practice day, you said there's more than one session on practice day, but they're short. Doesn't really matter for the heat cycles, but I'm just trying to figure out logistics. Do I bring an extra front? Do I bring a fresh front set? Burn them in on the last practice, save them for the race or qualifying, and then race on them. I know you're a wild man. You went out on all fresh tires for the national championship. Did you even scrub those in?
I love to say that. So what happened is with all the issues we went through, those tires were supposed to go on the car a couple days prior to do what we always do, which is let them sit overnight after a gentle heat cycle on them. But we just had issues on the practice day. I had issues on the qualifying day. And then I didn't want to jeopardize things because I thought we were racing in the rain on Sunday. So I put an older set on, and I just thought that those tires were going to end up staying in the trailer, and I was going to bring them home. And then once it came time for the championship race, I kind of had no choice because the tires I had available were like a 7 or 8 heat cycle set. And a brand new set, and I kind of just had to pick the lesser of two evils at that point. And so I don't know. I mean, it worked out. I can't say that it was better than what our previous routine would have given us, but I mean, all that I really care about is in the end it worked and we won. But it's not what I normally do. I can tell you that was never the intention, and I don't know if things would have gone any differently with the days prior, and I could have gotten the heat cycle I wanted. I mean, my experience would suggest that I would have done even better. So I don't know.
Have you hit those national championship tires with the durometer yet? Do you even do that?
I have not. No.
Okay.
That was something I was going to start doing, but I have not. I've never done that in the past.
Yeah. Dylan keeps talking about it, and I'm just like, well, they're not that expensive. Just because I'm not sure whether I'm going to run staggered or square. And if I run square, do I just keep dedicated fronts? And every time I burn them off, put new ones on? I don't know. I still don't know that even basic stuff for my car yet. You know, I've only 4 events in on this new car. So I'm trying to figure out that kind of stuff. I know my brake pads last forever, so that's fine.
I'm very much a heat cycle guy, and go out there and feel it and see what the lap time is. And I feel like just certain tires have a certain time in them. Obviously they can last a little bit longer in the rear. They might take a little bit longer to get up to temp, but it's all just, I don't know. For me, it's just, I look at the heat cycles. That's what I like, how I store them and how I kind of rate which tires I'm going to use what day. I'm purely just looking at heat cycles. And I feel like that works pretty well. And occasionally you get a little surprise, you put one that's young and it just doesn't turn the time. And sometimes you get some that are pretty old and they're still turning the time. And, I just think that they're a rock star, or, normally you find that they were in the rear for a while and maybe they weren't really getting that much abuse early on. But I think the heat cycles and where they were really tells the story of the life of the tire more than anything.
Yeah, I know on my EM1 I ran takeoffs, 225 square takeoffs half a season, and then for the next 2 years I ran 225 new up front and 205 new in the rear, but I left them on for 2 years and I still could not get the car loose. With 2-year-old 205s in the back. So yeah, I'm still fighting the new car. I put that big ASR hollow bar on. It's better. At fall finale, it was better. I could push the entire session without really burning the front tires down. But yeah, it still wasn't where I wanted it to be. Except for in turn 3 on really cold tires. Then I went spinning around, but
got to be careful. Yep. I've done that myself.
Yeah, first session, new bar. I forgot the new bar part. I was like, yes, this car plows like hell. I'm going to keep going. Yeah, no. Mm-mm. So it didn't help. There was a stream coming across turn 3. So I'm pretty sure I loaded that rear tire in the stream. And that didn't help me at all. So other than prepping your car, do you do anything personally to prep? I've talked to some of the racers and they quit drinking and smoking for a while.
I train year round, but I try to really be more invested in it, I would say, in the weeks leading up. I just do a lot of cardio kind of work, and because I really feel like a 45-minute race pushes your endurance as a human. And I have felt in the past when I'm out of shape, you feel good in like a qualifying session and a practice session, but 30 minutes into a race, you might start asking yourself, how much more time do we have? And you start to feel like you're you really want it to be over, not because you're, ahead and you're tired of fighting the guy behind you, but you're like genuinely getting kind of gassed out, in a car without power steering and 120 degrees wearing a driving suit. So yeah, I really trained. I assumed that it was going to be fairly warm in Northern California. And I mean, it was average, it was in the 70s, but yeah, I try to get myself in peak shape prior, and be on a good sleeping regiment. It's tempting to stay up late, get that engine done, but I tried to do whatever I could to get my mental picture square and my physical shape as good as I could going into it. Plus, I knew I was going to drive across the country, eat fast food for a few days, and
wreck your system,
set myself back. And yeah, so I kind of tried to get ahead of that a little bit. Yeah.
I'm fortunately my sleep schedule sets itself. Somehow I turned into a hippie, and the sun sets, I start getting tired. The sun is up, and I'm probably either waking up or already been up for just a little while. Round is a shape, so I'm working on that part, but less round, more oval. Yeah, but I'm trying to do it in general, because we race for 45 minutes on Sundays in the Mid-Atlantic region, and early on, I've caught myself leaning my helmet against the halo seat, with 5 minutes left in the race or so. And it's probably not optimal. I know my lap timer is telling me it's not optimal. So, gotta get myself a little more sharp than I am now. I don't expect Pittsburgh to be too crazy, but I've heard rumors that there's at least a crossover event. That event's pretty hot up there, which I find weird, but I don't know if I'm going to do that crossover event.
Yeah, I mean, it's July,
but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah,
but you should get the breeze out of Canada. It's still cold-ish in Canada in July. I mean, their summer is not our summer, so
no, yeah. Do you want to talk about some other things just to kind of think about for nationals?
Sure.
Planning and
yeah, I have one.
Yeah, I've got a little list here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks for doing your homework while I slack over here. Going back to the format, the qualifiers. How exactly do the qualifiers work? Is it like a mini season?
Good question.
Where you point for 2 races and that sets the grid, or is it all times?
It's all times. Yeah. So they used to do it like 2 qualifying sessions, and then each qualifying session had a qualifying race. So, and then the qualifying race results turn into season points, and then they took the 2 points totals from the qualifying races, and then that drove the grid. But then obviously someone looked at it and said, why do we really need 2 qualifying races? And I think they had additional practice sessions in there. So what they instead did is on that Friday, you wake up and you have your normal practice session, which always ends in a black flag, because all the people who didn't really take national serious and came out and didn't do the practice day are going to blow up. And then the next session, you go straight into qualifying, which is the one that you want because it's in the morning. And that's where, people are going to light the world on fire. And then if you have an issue in that one, or you want to go back out, you can set another time in an afternoon qualifying session, but it's just best time of the day then drives the grid for the qualifying race on Saturday, which then finishing order drives the grid for the main race on Sunday.
Okay. All right. That makes sense now. I still don't like it, but because you get like a warm-up race before the national championship. So you qualify, get a warm-up race, basically. And wherever you finish, God forbid you have a mechanical or a tire goes down or whatever. And
or
then
you have a massive fuel leak like Mr. Michaels had.
Right. Yeah, at Daytona.
Yep.
That I talked about it with him, and I think I talked about it on the podcast, but I was in my garage working on my old piece of junk race car, looking at Race Hero, watching YouTube all week. You know, I would be at work having Race Hero up. And just because he started last in the championship race, I did not rule him out at all. His lap times and what he was able to make up before his fuel rail issue was astronomical. He had that place dialed in. So, yeah, not everybody can do that, because trust me, I've passed him as he went flying off in turn 4, and he rips past me before the flat S's are done, you know? So there's levels of driving, and you really have to be up there to do that kind of stuff, but he has it. And you guys race hard together. So, you got it too. And you definitely proved it last year. So again, congratulations over the air that, on the championship last year, because that was still impressive. We were all kind of pretty inebriated in the garage watching, yelling and screaming and stuff like that. So it was a good times. So what do you have on your notes to talk about?
So first thing is just, you got to figure out your gearing. That was, for me, the hardest part of Laguna. It wasn't super straightforward. And I did most of that work figuring that out on the sim. Not that there's a Integra on my sim, but I understand the deltas versus the other cars, and I was able to piece it together. No, I don't. I thought about doing that. I don't have enough data, and I don't use that enough. I'm more of an iRacing guy, sure and I was trying to combine it.
Yeah, I'm not sure the old Forza is accurate enough to even use that, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, just going there with knowing what, you know, for us on the B series, it's kind of down to like, which final drive are you going to run? Or maybe what fifth gear. So it was just interesting how slow Laguna was. You know, the top speeds were like kind of what we normally make fun of Spec Miata guys for, you know, like low teens, low one teens, I guess. You know, normally we're flirting in the like 125 plus range at a national level track, and this one you're not. So I could tell right off the bat, like the door was open to run kind of shorter gearing, and just had to see if everything would line up, and then, you know, try to not screw yourself in your qualifying races. You know, I was obviously at VIR and then New Jersey for my qualifying rounds. So I just wanted to make sure that like everything was going to work there, and then be all set for Laguna. Yeah. And then tires is another one, you know, like you've alluded to it. You got to have some kind of strategy. I obviously went in with one and then got kind of sidetracked for various reasons. Fluid. But, you know, I at least had, yeah. I mean, literally my head was bleeding. That was one of the times when we were supposed to switch tires was in that second qualifying session. But once I banged my head, that fell off. Yeah, you got to have some kind of tire strategy. I mean, again, this is like back to budget. I've heard of the Spec Miata guys shaving tires and having 3 sets. I know other guys will show up with a brand new set and make it through nationals. Other guys just have a load of scrubs. You know, you can get stuff mounted and balanced when you're there, or if you got enough wheels, then you're good. But just, you know, having a rough game plan of like how am I going to make it through, and what set am I kind of preserving for the championship race? Whatever your history and data and experience and juju tells you to run, just make sure that you're lined up to do so when it counts the most. Next thing is like the consumables. Like when we drove to California, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get 93 octane. I thought about tuning on 91 out here, but I was worried that am I going to find the right 91 out here?
Yeah, I doubt it.
What if it does something to the car?
Right.
Yeah. So I just I literally I went to Tractor Supply and Lowe's and just got all the fuel jugs I could, and I stopped along the way, and I think I took like 50 gallons of 93 octane all the way across the country.
So what you're saying is your enclosed trailer should have had the hazmat sign on it.
For sure. Yeah. If I would have gotten pulled over, it would have been a big problem.
50 gallons.
It was a lot lighter coming home.
I don't think you're in trouble for 50, but I can't remember what it is. But
well, that's good.
And they were all not all.
So just things like that.
They weren't all in approved containers, but our race containers are not approved. 0
of them were.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah. 0.
All right. That might have been a problem, but
and then.
Yeah. Everybody.
That's okay.
When you get pulled over, make them get a warrant. It doesn't matter whether you're pulling your trailer full of illegally housed gasoline. It's just a rule. Not legal advice, but that's what I would do. You pull me over, you want to search my trailer, you should come back with a warrant first. But yeah, again, not legal advice.
And then just like other things like to bring, just make sure you got like enough brake pads, rotors, anything else that your car seems to consume. Just make sure you got that. Spares. I had literally, I thought everything I could fit in the trailer, down to spare gears, final drives, knuckles. The one thing I didn't have that I have now fixed, thank you, Chad, is spare rear trailing arms. Of course, I had one that started to fall apart. I didn't realize how physical Laguna Seca is. Even on the sim, you're like, oh man, the corkscrew is pretty wild. But when you go there the first time and you realize that you're essentially free falling the car, and then catching it, that left side takes a really big beating, even though it's a counterclockwise track. And so, yeah, just tore up that rear trailing arm. And luckily one of the California guys was able to help me out. So, just be thinking about that kind of stuff. Like Chris and I used to say like, hey, I think he has a set of rears. I have a set of fronts. Chris didn't go. So I was on my own. I could have done a better job of, like, hey, since you used to bring that stuff, can I borrow it, while I go out there? But just a million things on my mind, trying to get the exhaust legal for Laguna Seca was a big problem in the closing moments. And it just kind of fell off my radar.
Did you need a retune
that's something
for all
else
your exhaust?
Thinking about
when you did your exhaust stuff, did you need to retune?
Nope.
No, you got it quiet enough and air fuels were okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So remember, I did 4 or 5 engine swaps in the last like 2 months there.
Right.
But the last one we dynoed the Type R, got it all tuned up, and then I swapped the muffler, and we did back-to-back pulls, and everything was surprisingly well. I can't say I just reached into the hat and grabbed a muffler. I definitely did a lot of research and talked to some people about which one to get. I live right near MIR, so that helps. There's a lot of drag racing guys with big V8s that care a lot about not losing horsepower, so I was able to use their knowledge and get the right one. And it did exactly what they said, so it worked out, and it was super quiet.
I bet that was different.
Yeah, my car is, back in the day when I used to run the turn down, super loud. Now Chris has that exhaust. And then I switched to the full length after my car caught on fire twice. Had enough of that. And my car's still pretty loud. So to turn the muffler on it, and it was, obviously I wanted it to be effective. I got a pretty good one. It was, you could hear the crossover into VTEC, but it was very different to not be screaming over the radio to my spotter. I could like genuinely hear him like he was sitting next to me, which was kind of nice. But I do like the car to sound cool too. So that'll take priority in the end.
Oh, so you're ripping your exhaust off again?
Oh, already done.
Oh.
Literally, like the moment the championship was done and the car was back at the trailer, I'm not joking. I took the muffler off. It's a pain in the ass to load it with that on, just the way I tie it down. So, that muffler was on for the minimal amount of time. Loading it back into the trailer felt pretty good to actually be able to hear my exhaust again. And it's up in storage. I will put it back on if I ever need to, but other than that, I am done with it.
Unfortunately, I think we're all going to get sound restrictions eventually, but for another podcast, I guess.
Yeah.
More people just build around racetracks and then they go, why is that so loud? You built your house next to a racetrack. Did you not? I don't know. Whatever. Google Earth it before you buy it, people. Like, just search.
Right.
Look around. Drive around. Don't just look at the house. But again, a whole nother podcast I could do. But
yeah.
What else do you have for us? All your spares?
Two more things. Obviously spares are a big one, or at least, have friends there that may have planned better. And then for me, like I'm an aero guy. I really enjoy feeling the effects of different setups. So just figuring out what your aero package is. Maybe it's no change. It's fine, but just be thinking about it. Is this a track that I need more downforce on, or is this something where I want to stay pretty clean? Like thinking of Daytona, that's probably a prime example. You could even think about changing out your side view mirrors. Do you want to run, a really slick wing, or maybe no wing at all? Do you want to try no splitter? It's just something to kind of check off real quick, that you've given it a little bit of thought. If it's a pretty standard track like pit race, probably whatever you run at Summit and VIR is going to be A-okay if you run the same thing. But just something to kind of remember. Like I said, maybe pit race isn't the best example, but who knows where it'll be next year. And it might be something where you do want to check it, or, maybe it's a super tight track and you want to experiment with, lowering your splitter. Maybe that involves building a second one. Just that's something to be on your mind. And then the last thing that I really think is important is having some reach back support. It helped that I went by myself. So that meant all of my friends and family were back here. Like I blew a tire on the way out. It was nice to make a phone call and say, hey, this is the tire size. Research what I should buy and ship it to the track and let me know how it's coming. If I needed to get anything else, like I was about to ship my rain tires overnight or put someone on a flight, it was good that there was at least somebody, there were multiple people back here that could have done such a thing, but, a local nationals, if everyone is going to go, that almost hurts you in some ways, because if you did forget something at home, there might not be anybody there to go grab it and next day ship it to you. So just having some sort of reach back support plan is helpful in my mind, because stuff does go wrong. You can't pack everything, or maybe it's a buddy you need to help out. So yeah, just having some kind of plan in place.
Yeah, that's important, especially for me because you guys won't carry any parts I need. And I'm not sure if
Probably not.
Not sure if Ash is going. I'm not sure if Sam's going. I'm not sure Brian's going. So basically, none of the other restricted prep cars will be there. So I'll be by myself with spares, and I have an open trailer and a 6.5 foot bed pickup truck. So whatever fits, and whatever doesn't, I'll be reaching out or searching high and low in Pittsburgh area for it. So yeah, but that's
right. Yeah,
definitely good to think about because I really didn't think about that. I was like, well, if I go, I'll just buy it from the parts store. But there's definitely things that I can break that won't be that may stay at home or may not be available in Pittsburgh, may be available in DC. So I'll definitely think about that.
Yeah.
I also need to reach out to you since you like aerodynamics so much because I'm building this stupid splitter this winter. I ripped the other one off in my driveway, so that one wasn't good enough to race with.
Oh no.
Yeah, I took pictures with it, drove it back to through my driveway, and it ripped off and went under the car. And I was like, okay, well, that one's done. And Sylvia said, if it can't make it on the driveway, you can't even turn a lap with that thing on. So, yeah. And I definitely need it because I need to clean up the air around the car. I'm a big bus driving down the front straightaway that you guys all get drafts from 100 yards away, it feels like. So...
It does. It's another level for sure.
Yeah. And you little Integras don't put off much air, I swear. You guys probably do it on purpose, but
no,
there's not much air coming off of you guys.
Yeah, it's everything's against you, but yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, the Integras are pretty clean.
I mean, it's so bad that Marcel complains about his hatch. And I'm like, shut up, your hatch is 6 inches narrower than my car, It's not really 6 inches, it's probably 3 inches narrower than my car, but
okay. Okay.
It's not, it's definitely not 6, but my car is pretty wide. It doesn't fit on the trailer quite like the old car did anyway. So, well,
yeah.
I think that's going to make a podcast. Do you have anything else saved on your list over there?
No, that's it, man. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and, we can chat more about Nationals prep stuff maybe as we get closer, but I feel like this is a good start for most people. And, we'll know more to come as we get closer.
Until next time, keep working on yourself, keep working on the car, and let's get faster.